In the profound teachings of the Dharma, the second noble truth illuminates the origin of suffering, known as Samudaya. This truth delves into the nature of suffering, revealing that craving, or Tanha, is at its core. Craving manifests in three potent forms: the craving for sensual pleasures, the craving for eternal existence, and the craving for non-existence. Accompanied by ignorance, or Avijja, of the true nature of reality, these cravings bind beings to the relentless cycle of birth, aging, sickness, and death, known as Samsara. Understanding this truth is essential, as it points directly to the sources of suffering, paving the way for their cessation through the Noble Eightfold Path, which forms the path to liberation. According to the Buddha, the second noble truth is the noble truth of the origin of suffering, known as Samudaya. This truth explores the arising or cause of suffering, which is deeply rooted in craving, Tanha, and ignorance, Avijja. To understand this truth is to see clearly the source from which all suffering sprout and proliferate. What is this Tanha, or craving? Craving, Tanha, is the intense desire for something to be different from what it is, whether it is desiring for something to exist, for something not to exist, or for pleasure through the senses. It is this craving that leads to rebirth, which brings with it further suffering and continues the cycle of birth, old age, sickness, and death. It is of three kinds: craving for sensual pleasures, Tanha, the desire for enjoyment of sensuous pleasures; craving for eternal existence, Tanha, holding the eternity belief; craving for non-existence, Tanha, believing that there is nothing after death. Where does this Tanha, or craving, arise and take root? Wherever in the world there are delightful and pleasurable things, there this Tanha, or craving, arises and takes root. What are the delightful and pleasurable things in this world? They may be summarized as the following: the six sense bases: eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. The six sense objects: visible object, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mind objects. The six types of consciousness: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, and thinking consciousness. The six types of sense impressions or contacts. The six types of feeling: Vedana, perception; Sana, volition; Satana, craving; Tanha, initial application; Vitaka, and sustained application; Vikara, arising from six types of contact. Each of the above objects is attractive and pleasurable. This craving arises and takes root in whatever is delightful, attractive, and pleasurable. This is called the noble truth of the origin of suffering. 1. Craving for sensual pleasure, Tanha. Sensual craving is craving for pleasurable sense objects, whether belonging to one's own person or to other persons. They include beautiful sight and visible objects such as appearance, form, or body; pleasing sound and sound objects such as voices and persons making the sound; delightful smell and its source such as perfume and persons using it; delicious taste and the food producing the taste, men and women who prepare and serve the delicious food; tactile sensations of rapture and objects producing such sensations; wishing to be born as a diva, a man, a woman, longing to enjoy the sensual pleasures as a diva or as a human being. Taking delight in such pleasurable thoughts is also sensual craving. Because of ignorance, Avijja, or not knowing things as they truly are, one holds the erroneous perception, thought, and view called illusion of perception, Sana Vipallasa, illusion of thought, Sita Vipallasa, and illusion of view, Ditthi Vipalasa by considering the impermanent as permanent, suffering as happiness, non-self as self, the loathsome as beautiful. Thus thinking what is unpleasant to be pleasant, liking is developed for it. Liking it and desiring it leads to craving, which drives one into activities in order to fulfill the craving. Such activities are the kama, causes, and sankhara, volitional activities responsible for the formation of new aggregates of mind and matter in the new existence. Influenced by craving, even the death consciousness clings tenaciously to objects seen at death's door, and after it vanishes, the rebirth consciousness arises holding on to the last seen objects to give rise to a new being consisting of the 5 aggregates of clinging which are suffering. Thus, kama tanha, sensual craving, is the truth of the origin of suffering. 2. Craving for eternal existence, bhavatana. This is the craving based on the belief in the permanence or stability of existence. It is the craving accompanied by the wrong view that the soul or living entity does not perish even when the physical body dissolves away. It enters into a new body and remains there. Even if the world crumbles and breaks up, it remains eternal and never perishes. Religions outside the teaching of the Buddha mostly hold this view of eternalism. Some believe that when a person dies, he remains permanently in heaven or suffers eternal damnation in hell according to the God's wish. Others believe that a being transmigrates from one existence to another according to karma and exists permanently. For instance, a bird on a tree flies to another tree when the first tree falls down. When the second tree falls down again, it flies to a third tree. Likewise, the soul or living entity, on the dissolution of a gross body or form on which it is dependent, moves on to another coarse body, itself remaining everlasting, undestroyed. Bhavatanya, craving for eternal existence, takes delight in the view that the soul or living entity is permanent and enduring. This I, which has been in permanent existence since eternity, feels the sensations and will go on feeling them. Believing thus, it takes delight in every object experienced by the 6 senses, and also in objects one hopes to come to enjoy in the future. So it wishes to enjoy a prosperous life now and in the future, to be born in good, happy existences, to enjoy the good life of a human or celestial being. Some wish to be born always a man, some a woman. All these wishes are craving for existence. Because of this craving, a conditioning influence or potential power is built up for the arising of a new life consisting of the 5 aggregates of clinging that is suffering. Thus, bhavatanha, craving for eternal existence, is the noble truth of the origin of suffering. 3. Craving for non-existence, vibhavatanha. This is the craving based on the belief that there is existence only while alive, there is nothing after death. It is the craving that is accompanied by the wrong view of non-existence, which holds that nothing remains after death. There is complete annihilation. This craving likes the idea that after death, existence is annihilated without any special effort. The reason is that one who holds this view shrinks from the practice of meritorious deeds and does not abstain from evil deeds. The evil deeds committed are also numerous. If new life occurs after death, these evil deeds will bear unwholesome effects that they cannot relish. Only if nothing happens after death and there is no new existence will their misdeeds be without effect, and they can escape scot-free from all consequences of their evil actions. Hence this great appeal of the nihilistic view. At the same time, holding that the time for enjoying is now, the present life before death, they are too eager to go after any desirable object of pleasure. Hence, they go all out in pursuit of their pleasure without thinking of the consequences. Such ardent pursuit of sensual pleasures leads to the commission of kama, causes, and sankhara, volitional activities, every act of which constitutes to formation of new life. Each time there is a delight in and enjoyment of pleasures of the present life, the sensual craving is imparted to the consciousness. Even at death, it clings to the object seen at death's door, and after it vanishes, the rebirth consciousness arises holding on to the last seen objects to give rise to a new birth of the five aggregates of clinging, which are suffering. Thus Vibhava Tanha, craving for non-existence, is the noble truth of the origin of suffering. Summary. The true cause of suffering lies in the three cravings, namely, craving for sensual pleasure, craving for eternal existence, and craving for non-existence. Cessation through understanding. The cessation of suffering comes from addressing its root causes, by uprooting ignorance through wisdom, Panna, and eliminating cravings through ethical conduct, Sila, and mental discipline, Samadhi. One can put an end to the continuous cycle of suffering. This is achieved through the development of the Noble Eightfold Path, which is the fourth noble truth. Practical application. To contemplate the second noble truth is to reflect on one's own life and observe where craving and ignorance manifest. Through mindful awareness, one can begin to see how attachments and desires lead to suffering, and how by letting go of these desires and developing insight, true peace can be found. Thus, the second noble truth serves not only as a diagnosis of the human condition, but also points towards the treatment, which is the development of the path leading out of suffering. Reflect deeply upon this, for understanding this truth is crucial for the liberation of your heart and mind from the bonds of samsara. Thank you for watching. If you like it, do not forget to subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications, leave comments, and share with fellow truth seekers. Wishing you good health and inner peace every day.